Welcome to another Garage Time with Goody. Today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be changing out the differential fluid in a 2014 Dodge Journey 3.6 liter engine, and that is the one with the Pentastar engine, and it is all-wheel drive. Well, let's get to it. Today we are going to be changing out the differential fluid in a 2014 Dodge Journey 3.6 liter engine. It's the one with the Pentastar engine. And you can ask different people and they'll give you different answers on when to change out the differential fluid. Sadly, some people never change out the differential fluid. A lot of people will say change it out between 20,000 and 60,000 miles. Well, on this particular vehicle, I will say in between. So I'd say change it at least every 50,000 miles. What you'll need to change out the differential fluid is actually not that complicated at all. You get this fluid pump right here, and this only cost me about $10 on Amazon. I'll put a link in the video description. And I went straight to the dealer to Dodge to buy this. This is synthetic gear and axle lubricant. See, SA 75W-90. Now, you don't have to get the name brand Mopar. You can get a third-party brand, but you have to make sure it meets these specs. A quart of this cost $18 from the dealer in June of 2024. Another thing that makes this fluid pump handy, on the quart bottles, you'll want to make sure that you get the fluid pump that hooks to the quart bottles. This will screw into the top of the quart bottle, as this will pump the differential fluid right into the differential housing. So that's all you really need. What I'm going to do first is you will see the Dodge Journey here. You want to get the Dodge Journey level as possible, because what I'm going to be doing is putting each side on a jack stand, and it's going to be lifted up enough where I can comfortably fit underneath of the vehicle. Now, if you're already a skinny mini and you can fit under there without raising the Journey up on jack stands, then you don't have to do this step. But me, I'm going to have to put it on jack stands so that I can comfortably fit underneath the vehicle. Once you are underneath the car, you will see that the rear axle comes in and hooks into the differential. Well, right here is the bolt that you're going to want to put your differential fluid in to fill it up. So this is the bolt that you're going to want to check to see if it will come loose first, because if you can't get this one loose, then there's no reason to take out the bottom one, because you're going to need this to come loose so you can refill the differential fluid. But this is your differential, this whole piece right here that leads up to here. From here to here is what they call the viscous coupler, and you will only see these on all-wheel drive vehicles. When these go out, the viscous coupler is very expensive, especially in these vehicles. They control the all-wheel drive portion of the vehicle. Not that hard to change, very expensive part, and they've been known to go out in some of the all-wheel drive Chrysler vehicles. A differential, and even early back in yesteryear, I have heard people calling these the gearboxes, and what it does, it hooks to the drivetrain of the car, eventually to the transmission. Your axles will hook into it, and there are gears inside of this casing, and it allows the axles to move and have torque. And these gears inside can wear out if you don't change the fluid in them ever so often. I know a lot of people don't even change the oil in their car or do any maintenance at all. Trust me, just like the human body, a car is complicated and you have to do maintenance if you want it to last. The more maintenance you do, the longer your car will last, and you'll have to spend out less money for repairs. So this differential fluid goes inside of this casing here, and it lubricates the gears that the axle here connects to. It receives torque from here, from the drive shaft, goes all the way back, and it turns these gears inside of this box, and in return it turns the axles, and it's going to make the car move essentially. And you know, they're subject to wear based on your environment. If you've changed the fluid, there's just a lot of variables that can wear these gears out, and it not having the differential fluid changed and being lubricated properly can cause heat to build up, and heat can prematurely wear down these gears. I'm recommending about every 50,000 miles you want to change out the differential fluid, and that way you can at least keep it properly lubricated. Now underneath here, when I take this bolt out, I'm going to need a catch pan. About half a quart of differential fluid should come out into that pan. But remember, you want to see if this bolt will loosen first, because that's the bolt you put the fluid in. If you can't loosen that bolt or it gets stripped out, you don't want to go ahead with the process, because then you can't put the fluid back in, so there'll be no reason to drain it out. This is a hex, a 10 millimeter hex. That's what you're going to need. I've heard some people say they use an 8 and some people say they use a 10. The one on this one is definitely a 10. You definitely want to make sure that you've cleared the rust out of this bolt and that the keys properly fit in. That was pretty tight guys, not gonna lie, but it broke loose. As you can see, it's moving now. Yeah, since I've been able to break this bolt loose, I'm now going to try to break this one. This is the drain loose. As you can see, I'm going to break this drain loose, and I have a catch pan. And what that is, it's just going to catch the fluid that drops from here down into the pan. I'm estimating about half a quart that's going to come out. I did clean up the differential a little bit, so it looks a little different. But as you can see, this is the one that's loose now. I want to try to go ahead and get the rust out of the bottom. Go ahead and break that bolt loose. And it broke loose a lot easier than the top one. If you have to, you can use an impact, but I'm just using a regular 10 millimeter hex. And here it goes. Loosening up. And make sure when you loosen that bolt up that the pan is underneath. I've got it where I can just, want to take it off by hand. And here it comes. These are magnetic bolts, and on the end of these bolts you can see if it has metal shrapnel on the end, and this does. What it means is, little by little, some of the gears have been grinding a little bit, or it's been going through it's been wearing down a little bit, and the metal shavings catch on these magnetic bolts, and it shows you that it's definitely past time to change this differential oil. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the top bolt out, this one. And these bolts are definitely different. The top one is a lot smaller than the bottom one. The bottom one's a lot bigger. And you can definitely see that you may have a lot of goo on the bottom if your differential oil hasn't been changed in a long time. And you may have magnetic or metal shards from the gears where they have been wearing down or used, so that is normal. That is just a sign that you definitely need to change your differential oil. Now I'm going to give this time to drain out, and then we'll refill it. So when checking the old fluid, you want to check in the fluid to see if there's a lot of the metal shavings in the fluid itself. And in this, there's not. You want to pour the old fluid into a container because it is toxic. And then once you pour it into a container, you can call around at local auto stores, and they usually take your old oil and fluids and dispose of them properly. I gave the Journey about a good hour to drain the differential fluid out. I'm going to show you the difference in the bolts that came off of the differential. This is the top bolt. That is where the fluid is going to be pumped in. You'll see there is no magnet in the middle of that bolt, and it's also a little smaller in length than the other bolt. The drain bolt is this one. You can see it's a little bit longer, and it has a magnet in the middle. Now that magnet usually has some metal shavings from the wear of the gears inside the differential. As long as it is a normal amount of metal shavings, then you're fine. You just change out the differential fluid and you're ready to go. However, if it looks like a glitter bomb or a huge amount of metal shavings, then you may need a new differential altogether. In this case, we're good to go in changing the fluid. And here is the fluid. And what I'm going to be using is this, which I'll put a link to this in the video description. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to open this quart of differential fluid. I'll set it right here. Then I'm going to open my fluid pump. You can see that it has a plastic hose that stretches about 2 feet. On this specific design, it is flat on this end, and on this end it kind of has a little notch, a cut in it. And you take the side that has the notch and you just push it in right there. And this is the version that's made to go over the quart, and you just hold the top still and then you just screw this on. And then you'll get it tight. I'll show you if you pump. I don't want to waste too much fluid here, but see, as I pump, can you see that fluid starting to come out? And that is how I'm going to get the fluid up into the transfer case. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to reinsert the drain plug, and I'm going to start it by hand. Okay, once you get this drain bolt torqued down, we're then going to be working up here where the filler bolt goes. This is going to be open, and you're going to be asking how much differential fluid needs to go in there. I'm going to pump the fluid in there until it starts to fill up from the bottom, and then it goes up to the hole and it starts to leak out just slightly. So it comes up to the thread, and when it starts wanting to barely leak out, that's when you know that the differential is full and the fluid is full, and you can put the filler bolt back on. And also the torque specs for that is going to be 26 foot-pounds. This is the quart of differential fluid, and this is the pump. This is the hose that goes up into the filler hole, and I'm just going to be pumping the fluid in until it wants to start to come out of this hole in the top. See, as it's wanting to leak out like that, that means it is full. And I can even stick my finger right here and I can feel the fluid. So that means it is time for me to go ahead and put on the filler bolt. Remember, you want to make sure you get the right bolts in the right places. We've done the magnetic bolt and the drain plug. This is the non-magnetic bolt, as you can see here. It's going to go into the filler place. I'm going to start it by hand. It's going to need to be torqued down to 26 foot-pounds. I will also put the torque specs in the video description. Okay, now that that's torqued down, that is ready to go. Once everything is torqued down, I wiped everything down and it doesn't look like there's any leaks. As you can see here and here, no leaks. Also, another thing, before you call it a day, make sure that there is no leaks in the differential by the axles, where the axles hook in, and you don't see anything out of place. Everything looks good, and then this job is done. You can go ahead and call it a day. After you get everything torqued down underneath there on the differential, don't forget, if you jack the car up, you're going to have to take the jack stands on all four sides of the car. And that's what I'm going to do now. And that is how you change out the rear differential fluid in a 2014 Dodge Journey 3.6 liter engine, all-wheel drive. I hope this video helps you. If it did, please smash the like button. Consider subscribing to my channel. And until next time, I will see you later.